What is up, guys? Apologies for the slight hum if you can hear it. The furnace is kind of going and it's a cold night. So, anyway, we have a towel out because, well, I was actually cleaning my Apple Watch and I figured, you know what better than to do a little bit of a video on it, because this thing I've had for almost 2 years at this point. We are looking at 2 years come this May, because I picked this up in May of 2019 and it's 2021, which is kind of hard to think about because it still feels like 2020, obviously. This is kind of a retrospective on this and what I think about after 2 years. This is the gold LTE model, as we can see here by the red ring. I had to kind of get this. I didn't need LTE. I would have gotten the Wi-Fi version, but unfortunately I had to get the LTE version because my only way of getting this on payments was through T-Mobile, and obviously they're not going to be selling you the Wi-Fi model. I mean, they used to back before the Apple Watch had an LTE version, but now, they're not going to sell you the Wi-Fi version anymore, obviously, because they want to sell you a plan with the watch. And this is back before I was building my credit, because nowadays, I could just, sorry to flex, but I keep my Apple Card in there because that is strictly for financing Apple devices, so I don't keep it in my wallet. Don't want to ever have to use that for anything else. That aside, I also had to get it because my girlfriend was on a Apple Watch S1, and as we all know, that thing is currently dead as far as software support is concerned. So that thing was also not doing so hot in the performance category. It was kind of starting to really screw up. So this way I figured, I can upgrade, get myself something a little bit nicer, and give her something nicer than what she had, and this was it. So she has my old S3, this is my S4, and who knows, we may be doing that again soon because the S3 is kind of getting there as far as software support and such goes, because it got very limited support, I believe, of watchOS 7, but I don't know, I'm just recalling what I was doing for the limited research on this video when I was writing the notes. So to sum up, basically, if you don't want to watch the whole video, I really think this still holds up, and I actually advocate people to buy a used S4 over a Apple Watch SE, because I think they're about the same price, I believe, or they go a little bit cheaper. On top of that, you get the ECG reader on the back here in the S4, whereas the SE omits that for cost. Now, the SE costs a bit too much, because I really think the SE should have slotted in where the S3 is, and cost just as much, because that's all really the SE is a S3 in an S4 case. It has roughly the same capabilities. I believe the SoC is newer, but again, it doesn't really make much of a difference, I feel. They really should have just had the SE be as cheap as the S3 is and just cancel the S3 entirely, but that's beside the point of this video. So let's start at the beginning here when I first got this thing, because I thought this was going to be a bust of a watch, because the first few months were a bit sketchy. I wanted to see this thing last a fair bit longer than my old outgoing S3, and very consistently, my S3 would outrun this thing in battery life. Maybe it was early version stuff, but I got this in May of 2019, so this thing should have been very stable by that point in time with software updates and such, but it was still losing a lot of battery very quickly, and I did keep cellular off because I pretty much got the cellular plan, waited a couple... Actually, I turned it into a tablet plan, so I didn't cancel the line, I just got it off this watch because I wasn't going to use it for anything. So that all happened, and it was still just losing battery at a very astronomical rate. After a few cycles of letting it go all the way to 0 and charging it back up, it seemed to have gotten better, and it remained better after a few more software updates. Actually, I took a couple betas at the time to just get it somewhere because it was really infuriating. So this is also back in the before times, well, the before times when I was actually away from the house a fair bit much more than I was in, the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, before things really gonna hit the fan. But yeah, everything was fine from the watchOS 5 updates. watchOS 6 was mostly fine. It kinda sucked a little in the beginning, but it got better pretty quick. watchOS 7, though, which is the most current version, kind of sucks. And the reason it sucks is because if I unlock the watch here, and yes, I do wear my watch kind of weird. So I have to scroll all the way to the top and then hit clear all. That's really annoying, and I really don't like that. In this, it's like you just hold, and I just miss Force Touch. It was really nice to have. But I guess it makes repair easier because if you have to repair the screen, you don't have to worry about that little Force Touch ring getting damaged, because if it gets damaged, well, it's on watchOS 7. Who the hell cares anyway about your Force Touch functionality, because it's disabled in software. I just found that really annoying, and that's the one thing I do not like about the new watches and new OS versions. But as we can see, the battery percentage is still holding up fairly nicely. The 1,000 cycle claim by Apple does hold some water, it would look. So as for over the years, what I've done with accessories and such is I usually just use a pretty basic TPU case, which seems to have evaded me at this current moment. But seriously, sport bands, I would heavily recommend you use them, and you don't even have to buy these from Apple. These are all from AliExpress, and they feel really nice. And in fact, I do have a genuine Apple one right here. There's really no difference in the feel. They all feel perfectly fine. Actually, this one's from Amazon, and yeah, this is the one I normally use day to day because it goes nice with the gold and black. But really, Sport Loops are the wave, and if you are not using them yet, I would highly recommend you at least give one a try, because the sport bands are just nasty. They trap sweat on your wrist, and I don't like them. As for other things though, I am actually gonna be trying out a NATO band on this thing to see how it works, because apparently it's made out of woven nylon and kind of the same material as these in a way. So I want to see how those work and how they feel. Just anything that's like made out of like rubber or silicone or something like that. They can trap heat in and just make your arm feel all nasty with the sweat. I do not prefer those at all. The woven nylon bands are actually also pretty nice if you can still find them, but Apple officially canceled them. So unfortunately, good luck finding them, but there probably are knockoffs out there that are probably just as good, but I've tried one and I like it quite a bit too. I've also paid for Apple Care on this thing up until last month, and at this point I'm like, if it breaks, it breaks. I've had it for almost 2 years. That's a pretty long time. If it breaks, I don't care anymore. I'll just grab another one. But so far, I've been doing a pretty good job at keeping this thing pretty pristine. I don't see any scratches on the screen. The case is in really good shape. Again, nothing wrong here. It just looks really pristine. So again, if it breaks, it breaks, but I don't think it's going to break anytime soon with the way I treat it. So yeah, I keep it in a basic TPU case. That seems to be enough for right now. Much to the chagrin of r/Apple Watch, they absolutely hate cases, and they will castrate you if you say you prefer cases. The beauty of the Apple Watch, oh my god. I had to get that dig in there. I'm sorry. But I'm not gonna lie. As for the future, the S6 has tempted me, because blue is my favorite color. And that blue shade on the S6 has been, I wish I could just justify the upgrade, but I cannot. I'm not going to do it until this thing meets an end of some sort. And no, I'm not gonna intentionally throw it off a cliff or something. I mean, legitimately, this thing meets its end. So that blue S6 is just, it has really tempted me. It's really nice looking. I really like the color. I like the new band colors you can get too, the two-tone ones especially, but the S4 remains perfectly viable. I can't see myself getting rid of it anytime soon. I really like this watch, and again, I really recommend anybody considering an SE who has no qualms going used, get one of these instead, or at least look for one, because these have more features and arguably are going to be cheaper than an SE, and they still perform just as well. Like, I've noticed no performance dip on these ones as seen in older models. So really, the S4 is kind of like the watch that it's the first really good Apple Watch in my opinion. It's like the Galaxy S8 of watches. It's really good. It doesn't age poorly at all, and I really like it very, very much. So until next time, because pretty much really the conclusion is I really like it, and you should get one if you're in the market for an Apple Watch and you're willing to go used. I'll see you guys later. Hopefully you enjoyed.